Hi, it's Rebecca Trevelise with Music Game Club, and I just wanted to share and encourage you today. As a teacher, I know that you always try to reach all of your students' learning styles, and there's a lot of different ways that students learn. So when it comes to music theory, the traditional method is typically the teacher will kind of talk to the student about a new music theory concept, and then often they will be given a music theory workbook and they will answer the questions or do lessons from that workbook that correlate to the new concept. So a student who is very studious and enjoys that type of interaction where someone is talking to them and then they are filling out questions and answers in a workbook, that works for that type of student, but there are lots of other students that would benefit from a different option for learning. So we keep that in mind at Music Game Club when we are creating the games, and we come at it from the artistic standpoint. So we want it to be a very visually stimulating experience for the teacher and for the student. So we don't ever use clip art or anything free that you can find out on the internet. Our art is all original by our artist, who is amazing. And a lot of thought does and time goes into the art. So if we are taking a certain animal and using it in their habitat, we make sure that it's realistic. And we actually like really discovering kind of quirky things about some of the animals or some of makes their life interesting. So just that visual component can really be compelling for students who are learning something new, but if it's done in a very visually appealing way, that the retention rate goes up for that music theory concept. Another thing is those kinesthetic learners who need to just sit down and roll the die and pick up the card and actually point. So say they're learning about different chords. So on our chord cards, they can physically use their finger to be counting the half steps between the major intervals and the minor intervals. So that's just one example. Moving their marker along the path, seeing the excitement on their face because they are getting closer and closer to the end and possibly winning. It just kind of helps infuse that game play spirit to the lesson, which you wouldn't get if you're just talking about it at the piano or just standing next to the student as they fill out their workbook. So yeah, I encourage you, if you've never tried one of our Music Game Club games, we spend so much time in development with the art component, and then we test it on our students at Austin Arts Academy. So our students test the games ahead of time. We make sure that there are different ways that the game can be played with multiple different levels of students. It can also be played one-on-one. If you are a group teacher, that is another component where group and peer learning can really be a benefit to those students. And also you can ask, when a student is stuck, you can ask other students to help that student. So it gives other students a chance to be a leader and to be a teacher. And a lot of times when you get to the point where you can actually teach it, that's a demonstration of complete knowledge of the subject. So that's always confirmation for me as a teacher when I see and rely on another student to help another student. That's great because that's giving them a boost in confidence as well. And it allows another student to help another student. So they feel like, they've got a buddy, they've got a friend in the class that can help them. And also the flexibility. Some students need longer time and more review to really, really grasp a music theory concept, especially if it's new. So games provide a way of reviewing that concept week after week, but students love playing games, so that it's not going to be a problem for them to play the game again. In fact, that's one of the reasons why we always provide 4 alternative gameplays to our members, so they can actually play the game, the original gameplay, and then they have 4 alternative gameplays. So they can pull that same game out for 5 weeks in a row. they're still covering the same exact concept, but it's coming from a different angle each week. And that doesn't even include the boom decks, right, that come out. That's just the printable game board. So there's lots of different ways of continuing to review the music theory concept for students who do just need more time to really absorb that concept. We have found, though, that playing a game, that's one of the fastest ways that a student can learn a new concept. And don't be afraid to give it earlier than you think. A lot of times we look at the theory workbooks and we go, oh, they're grade 2, so we can only play grade 2 games. No, I pull the games that we release every month and we test it out on our 4 and 5-year-old classes. So students who are in the pre-K level are being introduced to games about chords. Yes, their little hands cannot even play a chord yet, but they have that knowledge because they can count. They can count to 4 and they can count to 3. Then they can learn what a diminished chord is. It's really crazy how incredibly helpful a music theory game can be in the student's musical journey. So I encourage you to use music theory games to really reach all of your students and all of their different learning needs. So I'd love to hear what game you're playing today, or maybe this week in your studio, or maybe this month. So we'd love for you to share that with us.